Hey gamers, I just finished Legend ZA, and it was okay. Actually, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it, this game was downright awful. Before you dislike it, hear me out, I actually had fun. I didn't struggle to finish the game or anything, I genuinely had a solid amount of fun. But I want to go over and try to showcase some of the things that this game did good, as well as some of the low points the game had. There's also the big argument between the Pokemon glazers and the people that hate on these games that I also want to go over at the end. With that being said, let's just get into the pros and cons of the game. Some things I enjoyed about the game was the battle system. It's a fun system that makes battles a lot more immersive and fast paced. I played on the Switch too, and like I said, the game actually ran pretty well. I know that shouldn't be a pro at all, but in terms of the recent games, we gotta establish that. If you enjoy these kind of boss battles from Arceus, there is a lot of them here, but instead of the noble Pokemon, it is Mega Pokemon. The other main part of the game was the ZA Royale, and for the people who really enjoy the new battle system, the ZA Royale is gonna be your favorite thing to do, because you do a lot of sneaking up and battling in this game mode. The missions to do in this game are actually pretty solid. Personally, I thought they would have been pretty bad, just because how much can you really do in a city? But I think there's over 90 different quests for you to do. Yes, a lot of them are just battling, but they do some sort of storyline to make it seem like it's not just a battle. For example, there's this little kid that claims he has the best Pikachu, but you two have to have a 1v1 to see who has the strongest Pikachu. But there's also some other side quests I genuinely enjoyed. For example, there was a parkour quest we had to do to obtain Froakie, or the game of hide and seek trying to find all the Spupa in the museum. So overall, for me, the quests were actually pretty enjoyable. The customization, in my opinion, was so good. You could definitely get your character dripped out if you wanted to. Like Exhibit A, guys, you could see how drippy I got. There's no gender specific thing anymore, which is pretty cool. And honestly, collecting all of the clothes is a cool little task to do on the side. I think the whole going to do stuff with your Pokemon thing was pretty cool. Taking pictures and going to eat with them as well. Side note, I bet none of y'all are getting a better photo than me and my shiny Magikarp on your first playthrough. But yeah, to me, this game was a bit more of a day in the life Pokemon simulator. This game through the right lens can be pretty fun. Not in a weird elitism way, but casually it can be really fun. Not saying this game is for casual fans or whatever, but if you're casually playing the game and not deeping things too much and having fun doing the side quest with your Pokemon, it's an actual enjoyable experience. To me though, this is where most of the good things end. I won't lie, there is so much disappointing things in this game than good things. To me, at least, this game gets a little repetitive. The whole system and how you advance is going through the ZA Royale, then battling the Mega Pokemon. So for one, you do that over and over again, but also mixed with it being solely taking place in the city makes doing these things even more repetitive. When you're exploring a gym or something, at least it has a different aesthetic each time. In the ZA Royale, the battle zones you fight in are just parts of the city, so it's places you already explored. Do not get me started on the wild zones. This might be the most lazy and the biggest step back Pokemon has ever done, even more so than BDSP as a whole. These wild zones, for one, like the battle zones, are just parts of the city you already explored, so it's even less exploration. But for most of these wild zones, you can literally see the exit when you walk into the entrance. There is little to no diversity in any of these wild zones. There are a select few spots where I genuinely had a fun time exploring. For a top 3 most aesthetic region, I was hoping to see some of these caves or cities a part of this game. The thing that gets me too is I swear they are trolling us. Here is an NPC in the game. I want to go and train in the wild. Stupid wild zones don't count. Yes, they do not count to exploration. They are mocking us. I swear they are mocking us. Lumios itself isn't even diverse. I thought there was gonna be a forest or maybe a junkyard area, but there was none of that. And even if there was, it was half-baked. This mixed in with only being able to explore the city makes it so disappointing and definitely one of the worst explorations in a Pokemon game literally since ever. Oh, and I actually take back that the wild zones are the most lazy thing they've ever done. Not being able to explore Prism Tower is by far the most lazy thing they've ever done. I literally 100% believe that when you're about to go into Prism Tower, they made your friend Tawny go up there so that way they didn't have to design the interior. Like, how do you make a Pokemon game in one city in the first place, but then don't even make it diverse? Like, most of the city looked exactly the same like what I'm showing you right now. But then to add on to that, they didn't even let us in the main building in the city. Imagine this, you're gonna go to France, but then you're not allowed to go see the Eiffel Tower. And when I say go to see the Eiffel Tower, I don't just mean stand in it, but I also mean look at it, because most of the time it was boarded up. It's just when you're making this game, how is that a good decision? Like, that is such a bad decision for making this game to not be able to go into Prism Tower. Some places like Lysander Labs or the Rust Syndicate, they were genuinely really cool interiors and I really enjoyed exploring them. It's just they pretty much added nothing to them and only made a few of these spots, so it came across as very underwhelming. For example, in the sewers, I thought this was pretty cool, but imagine they added a puzzle for us to do. Maybe we could find clues to unlock the door instead of just making this guy break it down. Or in the Rust Syndicate, it could have been a lot bigger and we faced the grunts like it's an evil team base or something. In terms of the story, I don't know if I was just missing key plot points or something, but I think it was one of the weakest stories in Pokemon. But with that, I am fully open to being wrong or you guys to change my stance on this, because I could have fully just missed key points points because like I wasn't totally glued to my screen. At the beginning I was like, oh damn, Lysander's alive and he's back, and he's kind of dropping these interesting cryptic one-liners. At first I was really cool with that, but then he just kept doing it over and over again, and pretty much not much new lore came out about Kalos or the war. When we got to revisit Lysander Labs and learn about the old Team Flare, like it was definitely cool, but it just retold X and Y, and I don't think there was much lore added to this if I'm not mistaken. Like why couldn't there have been more clues or lore to Lysander's past or even more about the war? It again just felt very underwhelming. But I will say this Lysander Labs part was a lot better than any other part of the game. Especially if you didn't play X and Y and this was all new to you, I could see how this part was pretty fire. To me, bro, again, this could be personal preference, but I literally feel like this whole Ange Tower thing was just a cop-out. And maybe it wouldn't have felt that bad to me if maybe the final battle wasn't the worst final battle in a decade. Volo, Turo, Ultra Necrozma all clear this easily. That's what I always gave Pokemon to. They always cook with the final battle, but this was just so bad. We barely got to use Zygarde either. Visually, it looked pretty solid with some of the cutscenes, but the only time you got to use Zygarde was clicking a move. They didn't even do some Naruto Storm scene where you have to time your button clicking or something. We pretty much fought these two flowers on the ground, and fighting these two was just so annoying. I know it's easy for me to say as a fan or hindsight, but I just felt like every single one of us could have designed a better final battle. For the post game, I don't know if people count the missions or not, and like I said, the missions are completely valid, but other than that, the post game is diabolical. And let me backtrack again. This might be the laziest thing they've ever done. For one, the fact that they didn't even include Xerneas and Yveltal in the main story, but also the way you get them. You go talk to Mabel, go fight a few Megas/Alphas, then they appear in the grass in some random wild zone. If they were some random legendaries like Moltres or Thundurus or something, I kind of get that, sure, but not the box arts. Like, guys, come on. Think of how we got Dialga and Palkia in Legends Arceus, and then compare that to this game. It also kind of annoyed me how Mabel seemed like this is some crazy big issue. Then we just randomly meet these legendaries in the grass. It's like what she was saying didn't match the moment almost. She's like, yeah, you gotta go catch these legendaries. Like they're gonna blow up Lumios or something. And then you get there and we're just walking around in the grass and they just appear. Then you catch them. She's like, ah, good shit to when you just saved Lumios again. And it just felt so like half like they just put it in the game because they had to, sort of thing. Earlier when I said this game was the day in the life of a Pokemon game, I meant that, and I think it was a cool thing they tried to do. It's just they didn't really do it that well, and even regressed from Arceus in past games. Again, as far as I know, I could be totally wrong. Honestly, some of these problems aren't that bad. It's just when you keep stacking them on top of each other, it makes it seem that bad. Because every game has its flaws, and it's really hard to ignore this many issues. I love Pokemon and have been a fan for a long time, so I don't want it to make it seem like I'm just dogging on it. I had actual fun playing through it, though I can still acknowledge its shortcomings. And this is part of the debate I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This divide of ZA haters and Glazers is a bigger divide than KD fans and haters in 2016. Legend ZA was nowhere close to the potential it could actually be, but that does not mean we should shame people for playing the game. I've seen comments like this one where you see the guy said he's having fun with the game, and this dude just said he's sad for him. Like, yes, the game is awful, but it's not total shit to the point you can't enjoy it. It's a city you get to walk around in with your Pokemon. The whole framework of what Pokemon has actually built up makes the game fun. So it's weird when people shame people for having bad standards when they're simply just enjoying playing Pokemon. I had fun playing 2K18, but that game was dog awful. Games can be bad and fun, these aren't mutually exclusive. But then on the other side is the Pokemon fans that for some reason come to the defense of Nintendo at all costs. This guy goes, sorry for having fun and not blindly hating Nintendo. That might be the worst take ever. Up there with this thing and the making of the Nintendo Discord cam. I get not wanting to hear how cancer the game is when you're trying to enjoy something, that's totally fair. But to completely ignore the criticism is another thing. I think both sides go about it in such a cancer way. We can speak and acknowledge the criticisms of the game without shaming people who don't think the same. But also we can acknowledge the issues of the game and move on. We're not just blindly defend something that is pretty close to being objectively mid. But overall for me, the game was pretty disappointing. And I know early in the vid when I said the word lazy, I don't know if that's the total issue or if it's the budget or if it's laziness, not enough time, but whatever it is, they not only regressed in comparison to Arceus, but it also got mogged so hard, bro. Playing it casually is the best way to go about it. Something buns can still be enjoyable, guys. Let me know your opinions for the game, and I really want to hear your guys' thoughts, so make sure to leave a comment down below. So if you made it this far, have a nice day, and I'll see y'all whenever I see y'all.